Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Lantern Sports After Show. I am your host, Curtis Gruby, alongside my co-host, Kevin Lapka. Kevin, we've got a lot to talk about, don't we?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there in this game against Rutgers. It was a win for Ohio State by a large margin, but there is a lot to dissect. First, we want to take notice of the fact that Ohio State defense allowed only 83 yards in the first half. Second half was not the same story. A little bit more sloppier football being played there in the second half. 290 yards allowed for such a stout Ohio State defense in the second half is not what you want from your defense there. But part of that is because Greg Schiano was throwing a lot of things at that defense, Curtis, as you know.
Yeah, I'd like to talk a little bit about the trick plays. You got to give Greg Schiano a lot of credit. He coached till the last second of the fourth quarter, gave it everything he had, really threw the whole playbook at Ohio State too. But Ohio State, their defense, their special teams, they really didn't play well against those trick plays. They had bad fundamentals, bad angles, one onside kick that Rutgers recovered. I know it was out of 3, but they still had one. And then that punt for the touchdown that they had too. Those are all, if you cover a punt the way it's supposed to be covered, you fill up all the holes, you'll never have a punt go for a touchdown against you. But the problem is they blew their alignments, they blew their assignments, they had bad tackling, they missed 2 tackles on that punt too, and it really just killed them. So the trick plays, got to give Greg Schiano a lot of credit. Nobody's planning for trick plays, but Ohio State defense and special teams, they look bad against those trick plays.
Well, it's kind of funny, Curtis. I'm kind of laughing here because as I'm watching this game, I was there at the shoe watching this game and thinking, geez, man, Greg Schiano's playing NCAA 2014 out here on us. I mean, like you mentioned, onside kicks. I mean, how many 2 QB sets did we see from Rutgers? Twice they made cross field throws on the punts and the returns and things like that. And quite frankly, though, if you're a team like Rutgers, that's really the only way you're going to beat Ohio State. And I don't know if Ohio State was necessarily ready for those kinds of things. I mean, not very often does any team, not just Ohio State, see those things thrown at them. So I think they were a little bit caught off guard, and as any team would be when you're doing all these different things on offense. So there is a little bit of credit to Greg Schiano. But at the end of the day, I mean, Justin Fields, once again, how many times are we going to say it? Another Heisman-worthy performance, 6 total touchdowns on the day. Looked great. I think only around 4 to 5 incompletions on the day as well. That offense was working well. I do think the running game could have been a little bit better. A little bit of a rift there, it seemed. They were running the ball well for a lot of yards. But again, I mean, as we talked about last week, it's still this drive-to-drive basis between Trey Sermon and Master Teague. And for me, the main issue with that is there's no fluidity with it. You know what I mean? And I don't know if there's room to improve there, and I know they're riding the hot hand, but I still think that, to have a constant fluid running game, they got to use those guys interchangeably.
Yeah, for sure. The running back room, we talked about it last week, how it needed to be improved. They had a lot of questions that needed answered. I don't think we got any answers this week. As you mentioned, too, Justin Fields, another Heisman-worthy performance. Garrett Wilson, 104 yards and a touchdown. Chris Olave, 64 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's going to do it for us for the Lantern Sports After Show. Make sure you look out for us next week against Maryland. For Kevin Lapka, I'm Curtis Gruby. We'll see you next week.